Welcome to another episode of Titan PI TV. We're looking at the inside workings of a live operational investigation agency, that being here, Titan in Derby. I'm your host, Simon Henson, and Managing Director of Titan Private Investigation Limited. These short YouTube episodes on Titan PI TV are meant to be informative to both prospective clients, but also to people that already work within the industry. The idea is not to give any tactics away. However, we have been asked to cover this topic by one of our viewers or subscribers, and it's around airports. So what information is a surveillance team required to ascertain when one of our subjects enters an airport? So ideally, a surveillance team is going to need to know prior intelligence in regard to whether our subject is going to be going to an airport. 99.9% of travel, of public transport travel, is now planned. But it's really important that if that intelligence is known that a subject is going to be going to an airport, that is relayed to the surveillance commander, because there's tactics that we will employ to be able to deal with that in a much more professional and seamless manner. However, we don't always have that sort of intelligence to hand. It might be that our client isn't close to our subject, so they're not privy to any information of international travel. So airports are fraught with danger. Firstly, there's security. As soon as we go into an airport as a customer or a traveller, no doubt we are going to be being watched, either covertly or overtly. So it might be that there's CCTV cameras. There will be. As soon as we walk into that airport, we will be being monitored. We will be being monitored for unnatural behaviour. There will be overt security, so uniformed security personnel, if not police, within the airport. They will be looking at behavioural detection and working out who doesn't look natural. Once they're identified, they will be approached potentially, or they will be further watched on CCTV, but then they've been red flagged, so they're being watched. So it's so important for surveillance operatives, when they enter an airport, to be natural. If we haven't got that information in regards to the subject travelling to an airport, then it's important that we always have props in our vehicle. So if we're not aware, we need to look like a traveller. So we're not aware of that information. So when we get to the airport, we need to be getting a trolley as an operative. We need to have a bag or a suitcase so that we can place that on the trolley and look natural like a normal traveller. Ideally, we will have our passport. Not every operative will carry a passport. However, in situations where it is potentially likely that we'll be going to an airport, it's worth having our passport, so it gives us further options, which I'll come on to later. So we're now in the airport, we've got our props out and we're looking natural. There is certain information that we need to gain about our subject. Firstly, we need an image of the subject. Maybe there's multiple subjects. Maybe they've met associates. We need imagery of all of that party. We're going to need a very good clothing description. So what are they wearing? How are they dressed? We're going to need images of their luggage or a very good description, because this allows us to then make an assessment, or our client to make assessment, in regards to how long they may be going away for. It's also important, all of what I've just mentioned is important, just in case we know where they're going to, or we identify it in the next step, and there is then an option to deploy a surveillance team at the destination that they go to. That surveillance team would never have been behind that subject potentially. So if we've got images of them, their clothing and their bags, it's really easy, or makes it a lot easier for that team, surveillance team, to then pick up at the other side and then covertly follow them away. It's going to be really important to identify which airline they're travelling with, which destination they're going to. And if they're going economy class or business class, they will no doubt queue up at a checkout and they will book their bags in. That will say the airline and the destination. So we need to get that information. Ideally, we also need to know the flight time to that destination. So, for example, if we are getting another surveillance team in that foreign country, we know what time they need to be there. If we have a subject, subjects or associates which are travelling first class, this can offer us difficulties. The reason for that is first class travel can generally check in or get to the airport an hour before wheels up. That is obviously a lot less time than if you went business or if you went economy class. Also, at most airports, such as Heathrow and Gatwick, for example, if you are a first class traveller, you don't go to a check-in which is within the main concourse of the airport departures. You go through a separate area which only other first class travellers can go through, and then you've waved goodbye to them as a surveillance team. So once again, it's going to be really important to get the description, the images of them, who they are travelling with, images of their baggage, so we can make those assessments which we made earlier. Once they've gone through that first class area and away from public view, it's going to be important to then take a picture of the departure board, so you've got all the departures which are going in the next hour onwards. This can then be used at a later date, or on the hoof there and then we can make an assessment as to where we believe they will be travelling to. So that is airports. Private airfields, so for example Biggin Hill in London or Farnborough. Private airports are for chartered airlines. So as soon as you get, or our subject gets to the perimeter fence, they will have to show documentation to be able to proceed. The surveillance team will then not be able to enter that area. But it will be vital to find out where they are going to. And the only way to do that on these private airfields is usually there is a cafe, usually called an airport cafe or runway cafe, and it's for plane enthusiasts to take images of planes. If we are able to get into a position here, they usually have a viewing area. This is a viewing area of the airport and the runway. If we are able to then identify our subjects or associates getting onto a plane, it's going to be really important to gain that imagery, but secondly, identify the tail number. Once we've got the tail number of the plane, we can then tell where it's going to and when it's going to get there. That once again gives us further options to get a team in the country that they're travelling to, a surveillance team, to then deploy to be able to conduct covert surveillance once they're in that country. So that is airports and what we need to gain evidentially and for intelligence once a subject travels to an airport. Hope you've enjoyed it. Thanks for listening. Give us a thumbs up as always, or subscribe to the channel. Till next time.